Roger Stone's trial kicking off with jury selection today. He's President Trump's longtime confidant and 2016 campaign advisor. Stone is charged with lying to Congress, obstruction, and witness tampering stemming from the Mueller investigation into Russian interference in the 2016 election. Stone maintains his innocence. NBC's Ken Delanian's in Washington, D.C., where that trial is happening. And Ken, give us just a recap of what this trial is all about and how Roger Stone ties into this Russia probe.
Sure. Well, many people might remember that Stone claimed to have a back channel with WikiLeaks as WikiLeaks was dumping those hacked Democratic emails. And for a while, it seemed like he could be the linchpin of Robert Mueller's effort to prove a conspiracy between the Trump campaign and Russia. At the end of the day, Mueller did not make that case, but he did charge and arrest Stone in January and charge him with lying to the House Intelligence Committee, where he testified about his efforts to communicate with WikiLeaks and to figure out what they were dumping. And he's also charged with witness tampering, accusing encouraging an associate, Randy Credico, to lie, and he's charged with obstruction of justice. So this could be a fairly colorful and interesting trial. For example, prosecutors want to play an excerpt from the movie The Godfather 2, where Michael Corleone brings in the brother of a mafia associate to prevent him from testifying before Congress. Stone allegedly cited that passage in trying to intimidate Randy Credico, so that's an issue in the trial. Roger Stone is an infamous character who's sort of embraced the idea of being a rogue political operative, and he's going to attack the prosecution, the very premise of the idea that Russia hacked the election. But so far, the judge is not letting much of that evidence in. It's going to be interesting to see what kind of defense he has to these charges, Allison.
Ken, you got a front row seat for what could be a very entertaining trial. We heard it got off to kind of a nutty start already. Stone had to leave because he was sick?
Yeah, so Roger Stone left the courtroom early today during jury selection, apparently because he had food poisoning. And that came after an onlooker in the courtroom was stricken with a seizure, and so the proceedings had to be stopped. So a little bit of a snake-bitten day here in court. Stone did not look well when he was in the room. We resume tomorrow with jury selection, and we expect opening statements perhaps tomorrow afternoon.
Ken, this is entertaining already, and we haven't even gotten to the Godfather section you mentioned. It is serious, though, and how much time could Stone end up facing here?
So by statute, he's looking at a maximum of 50 years. But of course, sentencing doesn't work like that. There will be guidelines, and he's a first offender. It's not clear what the guidelines specify, but if convicted on all charges, he is facing a significant potential prison term, Allison.
And let's talk for a second, if you would, about what this means for the president, especially with everything else going on with the impeachment inquiry. I mean, this is a big one here.
Right. So in a sense, Washington has moved on from this Russia story. But this trial will remind people and will offer new evidence of how badly the Trump campaign was trying to get their hands on those hacked emails, even though we all knew that it was the Russian intelligence agencies that hacked them. So they were trying to get WikiLeaks to tell them what was in them, and they were gaming out how they would use these emails against Hillary Clinton and this other material. And this is at a time when Trump is accused of pressuring a foreign government to help in the next election. So it may be relevant in terms of how lawmakers evaluate Trump's conduct in the impeachment proceeding. Look, Donald Trump and Roger Stone go back 4 decades. Trump has been quoted calling him a quality individual. He may end up a convicted felon in the latest in a long line of people close to Donald Trump who ended up in federal prison.
Ken Delanian outside the courthouse in Washington, D.C., thank you so much.
Hey, NBC News viewers, thanks for checking out our YouTube channel. Subscribe by clicking on that button down here and click on any of the videos over here to watch the latest interviews, show highlights, and digital exclusives. Thanks for watching.